This is Jason Verney's podcast. I am Jason Verney. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about free Asian films. I've covered these before in videos and podcasts, such as this one. And this particular episode is kind of a bumper episode of various free or cheap Asian films currently available. I actually managed to squeeze this podcast in, or the processing this and recording this podcast in between writing articles on my website, minimovie.com, but more pressingly, I've got a film in motion at the moment, a film that I'm making with a team, and it's actually got a heavy Asian influence, Korean. I will be posting stuff on minimovie.com about that, and also my filmmaking website, which is nativenomadpictures.com. And also I'll be filming a video / podcast after next week, I think, because to give people an update who's interested anyway, whoever's interested in it, where we are with this film. But back to what this podcast is all about. And in this episode, I'm going to cover films that are available on BBC iPlayer, at least one that's an Asian film. Also, a couple that's gone but will reappear, I'm sure, on Film 4, but also some really good bargains on iTunes, Asian film bargains, and also films to be caught on Mubi. I always mention Mubi. I often mention Mubi because Mubi, although it's a paid-for platform, there's always a way to take advantage and take up their offer of a 3 months trial. Often there's you can sometimes get hold of a 3 month free trial as well. So this is not cheating the system or anything. It's just genuine ways to get access to free or cheap films. I should probably mention BFI Player. They also have quite a few Asian films, but I'm not going to touch on those in this episode because, frankly, I've put this together as comprehensive as I could, but speedily as I could. The catalyst for putting this episode together was the iTunes films that came up, and also some others that are on there still, which have been on there for a while. So I really wanted to put this together before some of these disappear. So let's start with the let's cover the terrestrial TV channels, the ones that don't really cost you anything. Most of the terrestrial TV channels probably only relate to people that are in the UK or have access by VPN or something to get into these, to access these platforms. I know BBC iPlayer, it's not that easy from other countries, if not impossible indeed, I believe. So, right, let's cover, unfortunately, a couple of episodes which I didn't manage to cover, a couple of films that appeared, which I didn't manage to record a podcast about recently, were on Film 4, or, you can call it Film 4 or Channel 4 or All 4 because it's an app or it's an online platform, was The Handmaiden, but that has been on there a few times, so look out for that again. The Handmaiden, that's Park Chan-wook's film, and A Taxi Driver, a very good comedy revolving around the Gwangju sort of massacre from the 80s, the 518, it's kind of known as the 18th of May. Now that's gone as well, but both those films, I believe, have appeared at least twice, so they will come up again, I'm sure, on Film 4 platform, completely free. You might be able to access that. Other countries, I'm not sure, but definitely, you can access it in the UK. So that's the terrestrial. That's one of the terrestrial channels. My God, I told you I was recording this, trying to be comprehensive while also trying to get it this show produced sort of promptly before I move on to filming these scenes of the last scenes of this film that I told you about. I'm currently making, but basically the other terrestrial platform is BBC iPlayer. Now there was one on there, which again I think that's been on there more than once. That was the Spy Gone North. So that's disappeared, but look out for it again. I'm sure it'll be on one of the channels, BBC 4 or BBC 2 probably again, but it normally stays for a month. Sometimes it stays for a year. So, I mean, some of these films stay for a year. So that's The Spy Gone North has now gone. Spy Gone North has now gone elsewhere and gone from that platform. But the film that is on BBC iPlayer, which is available for over a year apparently, a Korean film. This is so far I've mentioned all Korean films, by the way, Film 4 ones which have gone, and also Spy Gone North, which has gone. But this one that's still available on BBC iPlayer is The Gangster, The Cop, The Devil. It's a thriller, but it's meant to be very, very good. I say but, I mean it's not. If that's your genre, then that's great. I'm just saying that these films I'm going to tell you about are actually quite mixed genre, mixed era as well. You know, mixed countries, from Korean to India, basically. That's what I'm going to bracket all that as. So let's now move on to Mubi. I'm going to come to iTunes last because that's, as I say, that was the catalyst for recording this episode, this particular show itself, because I was quite excited. So that's what forced me to record this. So we'll cover Mubi, of course, and I'll also mention there are many Korean films on Netflix and Amazon. They're not free. They do offer free trials, of course, and Amazon you might be able to do it again. I think you can only do it once, free trial. But I'm not going to go into those films. That's for another day, I'm sure. So on Mubi, I will mention one film that's still on there, which is a Chinese film or Chinese-French production, but it's very it's obviously, it's when you see it you'll know it's a Chinese film. That's The Wild Goose Lake. I actually recorded a podcast / video, I can't remember now, similar in this vein of free Asian films, all about basically covering that film because I just thought it was astounding. The Wild Goose Lake. I highly recommend that. Also on Mubi, and some of these films will be leaving very soon. We still have a couple of films, probably, I think one or two at least, by the Japanese director Kiyoshi Kurosawa. There's at least from recollection, and actually from the information I have in front of me, there's at least one of his films, a beautiful new Bay Area project. There's that, and there's also they've had a season. Mubi have seen. I think that's a Kurosawa season. Often Mubi is made up of mini seasons, or they have a lot of mini seasons anyway. Another one is the French director Amit Dutta. He's had lots of. I think I'd probably say his films are more arty, but they're they're definitely not commercial films. But then that's not what Mubi's about anyway. But that's Amit Dutta, and one of his films I could mention. There's others I think still available. Is Sonchida. Sorry, it's Indian. Hindi, I think, but it's Sonchidi. So forgive my pronunciation there. There's also still a couple of films, I believe, by Hong Sang-soo on Mubi. So we're still on Mubi now. And the other one I want to mention, or the other ones I want to mention on Mubi, is currently a season of, let me get this right, it's hou-hsiao-hsien. That's how I think some people say hou-hsiao-hsien, or hou-hsiao-hsien. That's the Taiwanese director. The Mubi have a season. I always say mini seasons, but they are seasons. They sometimes consist of 2 films, 3 films, or many, but not normally more than 3 or 4, I guess. Sometimes a few more than that. So that's the early years. That's what it's called. Hou-hsiao-hsien, the early years. He's the Taiwanese director. They've got Cute Girl, Daughter of the Nile, The Green Grass of Home, and The Boys from Feng Kui. So there's at least 4 films that are on or coming to Mubi for the Taiwanese director. So that's covered those platforms. Now let's go to the juicy part of all this. which is the iTunes segment. So basically, I've done, if you go to miniminimovie.com, you will see that I've done an article or two regarding, first of all, let's cover these ones because I've covered these more than once, and some of you might have missed them, but I want to tell you about them again, and I'm actually surprised that they're still at the price that they are at. So far, all the ones I've told you about are free. Movie can require a subscription, not necessarily so paid for if you do the trial. But yeah, so the one that I've the articles that I mentioned on my website, miniminimovie.com, that's about the Arrow films and Third Window. They often have like basically a sale. All their films get put down to $2.99. Most, I say all, I'm pretty sure it's all, if not, it's damn near all. If you want to find the best way I locate the films that come up under Arrow is either Arrow. You can either put in Arrow or Arrow Video, Arrow Film, or even what's the other one? Arrow Academy. That will bring up any films on there. They're not all Asian. So there's quite a few Asian ones, but there's also some classics. Some very well known big films. David Cronenberg's Crash, that comes to me right now. What else is there? With Nail and I. There's so many films actually. I don't want to go through them all, but they're not the Asian ones. Let's try and stick to those. So amongst those you have, because Arrow took over or looks after Third Window films in a way, you've also got lots of their films, so you can actually find them separately by doing Third Window or Third Window Video or Third Window Film, or you'll bring up some of them. Some, as I say, sometimes, or as I've mentioned before in other podcasts, sometimes these searches are kind of slightly different, so you'll get some titles that show up in other ones and in other searches and not in the other one. Hence I've mentioning all of them. I wouldn't want to waste your time by just giving you different ways to look things up. Basically, I do that to cover every single scenario and to capture every reduced, every film actually within the Arrow range or Third Window. Third Window, Japanese films. There's some Chinese films in there. There's the Japanese female prisoner Scorpion for anyone who likes that kind of film. That series is on there as well at $2.99. As I record this, which is Wednesday, I should say it's Wednesday. It's the 17th of March. These should be available. I don't see why not, because they have been available for a couple of weeks, and they were on Monday. And normally, and I think on Tuesday, normally iTunes tend to. This isn't a strict rule, but it tends to be the case that their prices change sometime on a Monday. That's when the deals come into sight, basically, and that's when you see them. So I'm pretty sure those ones I just mentioned are still available. So included in those ones included in the Arrow films, when you do the Arrow search, there's so many good films in the Third Window if you do the Third Window search, but there's also, sorry, I just suddenly remembered, there's also, for Japanese wise, there's Koreeda. He's a very well-known director, and Takeshi Miki. In fact, one of his films is $1.99. I think it's called True Love or something. I can't remember the name now. But anyway, sorry, I'm going backwards and forwards here, but there's so much I've got to try and remember. So the four films, I'm going to stick to just Korean films for this part, because this is what I lean very more heavily towards Korean film than other Asian films, but I still love Asian film in general. And I love film in general, basically. But those are $2.99. The last time I checked, under the Arrow Video or Arrow Film or Arrow Academy, is Old Boy, The Villainess. Now that's, you should, if you know these films, obviously this will ring bells with you. JSA, that's a very pretty new release. A couple of months ago it came out, I think. That's Park Chan-wook's one of his early films. I was going to say his debut film, but he did make, I think, another one that wasn't as big before that, but it was about 20 years ago, this, but it's JSA, Joint Security Area. Big stars in this. Song Kang-ho is in it, and Lee Byung-hun, and quite a few other recognisable characters. So Old Boy, JSA, and The Villainess, they're all $2.99 on iTunes. Last time I checked, under the Arrow banner, and also under Arrow, but under Arrow Academy, is Tale of Cinema, which was which is a Hong Sang-soo film that was on Mubi. As I mentioned, there was 2 Hong Sang-soo films on Mubi, but now there was 3, including Tale of Cinema. So a lot of the time when you find these bargains on iTunes, and I'll probably say Amazon, but I don't really do Amazon in that. I don't do them for purchasing films anyway. So these are, by the way, these are all digital films, just in case you think they're DVD or Blu-ray or something. Tale of Cinema, that's I forgot what I was saying now. Lost my train of thought. But those 4 films are available for that. But yeah, sorry, I was going to mention the iTunes. I think I'll come back to that. Sorry. So I've almost done that, but the one that really stuck out to me. But let's build up to that. Excuse me. iTunes have also got Snowpiercer. That's Bong Joon-ho's sort of Korean film, but with an international cast. Snowpiercer at $3.99. That's the lowest it's been for a while, if not ever, on iTunes to buy. These are all to buy. But this is the biggest sort of news I've found on Monday, just a couple of days before recording this, was that the whole Train to Busan series, which is the trilogy, is actually available individually. They're $2.99. So we've got Train to Busan, the one that most people have heard of, especially if you're into Korean film, even into zombie films. Train to Busan, that's $2.99, and also the follow-up, which is Peninsula. So a very new film, really, Peninsula, which is also known as Train to Busan Presents Peninsula. That's $2.99, but also the prequel, which is an animated film, but that's Seoul Station. That's also at $2.99. So I'm pretty confident these will be available until next Monday, which is Monday the 22nd at least. Could be longer, but I would, if you're thinking of buying them, I would probably buy them this week, because they might go up in price again. iTunes do drop prices often, but not always so low. Train to Busan's always had a reasonably good price, or at least it's been down to $4.99, then $3.99, or back up to $5.99. But it's the same with Bong Joon-ho's films. I mean, The Host and Mother, they've been down to $3.99 before, but I believe currently at $5.99. Still not bad prices. It's just nice to get the real bargains. So I wanted to keep this as comprehensive, but at the same time as short as possible. And it seems we're now at 18 minutes, I believe. Yeah, 18 minutes into this. So that's it. I've probably forgotten something, but that's just a quick podcast regarding the free and cheap films that are available, Asian films. I will say that if you're listening to this via iTunes, then you can find this as a audio video on YouTube, where you'll find many videos of mine relating to Asia, Korean films, Asian films, matters that relate to Korea, my trips to Korea, my trips to Asia, India, even a short film or two of mine, and some events I filmed. The same goes for people listening to this on Spreaker. If you've made it this far, Spreaker's kind of the platform that I use to produce these podcasts. And if you're listening to it on YouTube, then you're already there, so you'll be able to see. There are other places. This goes up to Spotify is another one. So if you're listening to it there, you can always head over to YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, the channel, if you want to subscribe, you can, but the channel it's youtube.com/Jason Verney. I think that's everything. And Mini Movies, the other website, and nativenomadpictures.com, ones I mentioned ever so long ago, about 20 minutes ago when I started this podcast. So I'm leaving it at that. Happy viewing. I hope everyone's staying safe, staying well, staying movie watching, and basically enjoying life as best as you can. And that's it. Talk to you on the next podcast. If you want to, leave us a comment below, and that's it. Right, take care, everyone. See ya.